Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this, a Thursday, March 4th, 2021. I'm David Menzies, and as always on Tuesday and Thursday, well, most of the time that is, I am joined by my lovely co-host way out west. That would be Sheila, the she-devil, Gunn Reid. How you doing out there, Sheila?
David, I'm great. I'm never, ever fully prepared for your enthusiastic shouting at the beginning of the show, and I don't think our viewers are either. Does he put your ears on blast a little bit when he gets on the microphone? It's a lot.
Okay, should I redo that? I'll reimagine myself as High Energy Andrew says. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rebel News live stream. Anyways, but we all have our style, don't we, Sheila?
Yes, you definitely do. If anybody at home just noticed that I went off camera for a second, I had to turn off my space heater that I keep in here because I am concerned that it sounds like to the viewer that I am either trying to cremate a body in here or make beef jerky. There's a lot of wind coming off that thing. Should we tell everybody what we're doing here before we get too far into the weeds? I know you're probably going to say something about a space heater right there.
Oh, no, I thought you were petting one of the farm animals that wandered into the casa. But yeah, no, you go right ahead, Sheila, because we have a really packed sausage to get to today.
Farm animals are not for petting. They're for eating.
I think that's a hate crime.
Not around here. Anywho, yes, what we're doing here, we're 2 minutes into the show. We're getting this out of the way early because you know how David and I we get a little distracted, and there's a very long list of things that we must get to today because I get emails. If we don't get to everything that we have listed in the show description, I get the emails and I read them all, and you guys get mad. So anyway, this is the Daily News live stream. It used to just be on Fridays, just hosted by Ezra. But sometimes if Ezra was traveling, it was David and me because, as you know, it takes a David and a Sheila to make up for one Ezra Levant.
True.
It is true. Now David and I host Tuesdays and Thursdays mostly, but sometimes, you know, stories break and things that we're covering change. So we have to be out there in the world, and our co-hosts will, from around the office and around the country, will pop in and cover for us. Ezra hosts Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which I think is really an accomplishment considering he hosts a fully produced show every day and also runs Canada's largest independent media company. So this is our chance, David and I, to interact with each other, which is fun. David's one of my favorite people, not just at the network, but I think on the planet. You're right up there. I don't like a lot of people. And it gives our viewers a chance to interact with each other in the live chat, which is fun. There's regulars in there that are talking back and forth and discussing business and talking about their families. And it's great to watch that little community grow. And it also gives our viewers at home a chance to do something to support the work that we do, because as you know, we will never take a penny from Justin Trudeau. We are not bailout journalists. We're fiercely independent, so we rely on the support of people at home to help us along and keep us fighting for freedom. So you can do something called a super chat. YouTube takes some. It's their platform. I get it. We get the majority of it. And the more money you throw into a super chat, the more characters you get. And you can ask David or me a question. You can leave a comment, a criticism, a show idea, a story idea, whatever you want, really. It's your show. Just throw it in a super chat.
And Sheila, if I might add, if if you have a shout out to Justin, you get that electric guitar icon that zips by. And I think he needs some cheering up. Justin's in a really bad mood with me today. I said or did something to make him really foul. And I see High Energy Andrew Says is in the control room. Together they look like a real gruesome tag team. And oh, and by the way, we will get to Sheila and mine top 10 tag teams. Only 2 were identical.
We did 5.
Well,
we did 5.
10 in total. 5 for you, 5 for me, and only 2 of them were direct matches. So anyways, let's give Justin a big shout out with those electric guitars. He needs some cheering up. Now, Sheila, I think I see on our topic list, Pastor Coates. His hearing is today. This is very exciting.
Well, it is and it isn't. Pastor Coates, today is an appeal of his bail condition. So Pastor Coates, for those of you who have been following at home, and you can sign our petition at freepastorjames.com. He's the pastor at Grace Life Church west of Edmonton, and I've been covering this story as much as I can. Pastor Coates, initially, when the restrictions came down to limit church attendance to 15% of the congregation, Pastor Coates basically said, no way. I'm not turning away 85% of my flock to be compliant with the government. It is my calling and it is my religious freedom to minister to 100% of my congregants, which he has been doing. He also doesn't require his congregants to wear masks when they come into the church. And for that, they've been under nearly constant surveillance by Alberta Health Services and the local RCMP. Pastor Coates has received a $1,200 mask ticket, and then they received a closure notice. I mean, just the idea that we're closing churches, the government is closing churches in Alberta. They did get an executive order from the Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dina Hinshaw, to close Grace Life Church. I mean, it's just evil. It just makes me ill. And then on February 7th, Pastor Coates was arrested at the church in his office. He was released. But he was released with an undertaking to not hold services the next week. Well, he did. And so he was required then by the local RCMP to turn himself in on the following Tuesday. That was February 16th, and he's remained in custody since then. He has been given bail, or offered bail, but he cannot comply with his bail conditions because his bail conditions are to limit the size of his congregation, and he cannot in good conscience do that. So while the other offenders at the remand, a maximum security facility, by the way, these recidivist sex offenders stand in front of a judge and say, yes, I know I've breached bail conditions 4, 5, 6 times, but this time I promise, I pinky swear I'm not going to do it. Please let me out. Give me bail. And the judge says, okay, bail's easier than ever to get because of the coronavirus. Out you go. Because these guys are willing to stand up and lie to a judge, and the judge is willing to accept that lie he knows right to his face. And these guys are getting out. And Pastor Coates, because he will not lie to a judge, he has remained in jail. Now he's out of solitary confinement because he was in coronavirus quarantine inside the facility as part of the normal intake when you go into a provincial facility. But it has been at the discretion of the Crown prosecutors the whole time that those conditions could be taken off his bail, but they have not done it. So there's an appeal hearing today. Coates' lawyer is James Kitchen from the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, an incredible lawyer. But after I get off the live stream, I'm headed down to the courthouse in Stony Plain. There's a protest happening outside. I don't know if I'd be allowed into the courthouse anyways because of the coronavirus, but I would like to be outside with the congregation anyways to see their reaction one way or another if Pastor Coates is released or if he's not. But to think about this, a sex offender lies to a judge, and the best thing that can happen is that he doesn't continue to rape somebody. But the worst thing that could happen is that he reoffends and he gets let out. Yeah. But Pastor Coates, the worst thing that could happen that he would do is that he would say Sunday service again. And he's remaining behind bars.
Sheila, 2 questions. First one is, can you remind us again, what is the rule in Alberta when it comes to church attendance? Is it a hard number or is it a percentage of the square footage of the church itself?
Okay, so it is 15% of fire code capacity. For quite some time, it was 15% of fire code capacity for regular services and then just 10 people for funerals. They lifted that. So it's 15% of fire code capacity. for worship services in Alberta, which, I mean, is just crazy because Grace Life Church has had no instances of coronavirus linked to the church at all, yet Pastor Coates is in the remand center that has had at least 2 outbreaks. So he's actually in more danger of catching the coronavirus in the care and control of the province than he was ever as he ministered to his church.
Oh, 100%. And the reason I ask is because last month, of course, the Super Bowl was held in Tampa. And I believe it was 40% capacity of the stadium. 25,000 fans were admitted in. So again, I draw to the perversity, depending on jurisdiction, that you can have 40% for professional football in the stands, but only 15% in a church in Alberta. Is this Wuhan virus so super smart and so vindictive that it gives a pass to football fans down south, but it just hates Alberta churchgoers?
And it's very strange to see the lack of intellectual curiosity from the local journalists here. Nobody seems to be wanting to ask a question about this in the daily, lectures that we get from our Chief Public Health Officer, Dina Hinshaw. No. None of the journalists are asking about this international story that's unfolding right in front of us. I've done media from Ireland about this story. Yeah. They're very curious about what's going on. Ezra's been on Glenn Beck to talk about this. Yeah. James Kitchen, Pastor Coates' lawyer, he's been on Glenn Beck. This is an international story that in the free world, there is a peaceful pastor locked up in a maximum security provincial facility for the crime of saying service on Sunday. And no one's asking any questions about this from the local media. They just want to pretend like it's not happening.
That's unbelievable.
And they've been showing up, although last week not so much. They show up to the church. They're not allowed on the property. The church keeps them in the ditch on the other side. And
Beautiful.
They take photographs of I know, it's so great. They take long range, with their zoom lens photographs of the church from the outside. That's the best access they can get because this is a very wise church. But I noticed the last 2 weeks, the attendance of the media is waning because there are no longer Christians being carted away in handcuffs. And so they're not getting the spectacle that they came for. And so they don't even care anymore that there's still a pastor in jail. They just aren't getting the persecution story of, teaching these Christians a lesson. They're not getting it, so they just stop showing up.
And, my gut feeling, Sheila, is that the government, maybe even the bureaucracy, they are just crestfallen that this pastor won't accept the bail conditions. It's like, here's your lifeline, just sign off on this and you're free to go. And he's going, nope, it's against my principles. And they're tearing their hair out. What do we do? The other question I had for you, because I can't remember the answer, if it has been answered, Sheila, why in the world is he incarcerated in a maximum security facility? I've never been to that Edmonton facility. I've heard it's not a place you want to be. I know it houses the worst of the worst. There's minimum security penitentiaries. Why isn't he there?
So this is our remand center. So it is where everybody awaiting trial goes if you don't qualify for bail. So naturally, it has to be able to house the worst of the worst because those are the people who don't get bail. And because of the coronavirus, all the non-violent offenders, which a lot of times they lump sex offenders into that, they've been released because being in jail is too dangerous for them because they'll get the coronavirus, so they're out with the rest of us.
Wow.
Well, the rest of us are under house arrest. It's just like this snake eating its tail. But that's where Pastor Coates is. So he's in there with the murderers and the gangsters and the horrible people who probably need a little bit of Jesus, might I add. Yeah. But that's where he is because everybody else is walking free because we don't want them to get sick from this disease that affects almost nobody.
Incredible. Well, before Justin barks at me, Sheila, super chats.
Oh, super chats. Okay. You know what?
Uh-oh. There's that Clark Kent Superman vibe happening, folks.
Old lady Reid's got to put her glasses on. Pink Phoenix Nails gives us $2. Welcome back, A-Team. Then she sends us a unicorn.
Thank you.
Lisa Proust, our old friend Lisa Proust.
Yes,
she
Lisa.
hasn't been chatting us the way she used to. Lisa Proust, $5. Sorry, I've been MIA. See, she's already explaining. Love Sheila and David and all Rebel News team. MIA due to YouTube censorship. Surprise, surprise. Oh, they put you on a timeout, did they, Lisa?
Hey, please send us a note about that, Lisa, what that involved, what incredible debauchery you were involved with that got you kicked off of YouTube into a penalty box for a little while. You know, Sheila, this is unbelievable what we're seeing here with the curtailment of free speech. I mean, and the promotion of cancel culture. I'm just astounded, but I do want to hear Lisa's story. But anyways, Sheila.
Me too. And R gives us $2.28 from Nikki. She says she's emptying her prepaid credit cards, which explains the bizarre number, $2.28. Albert Friesen gives us $5. Are you going to be live streaming James Coates' hearing? If we can, we will. And we're working on that. We're going to see if we can. But normally you cannot live stream a court hearing in Alberta. So there is a WebEx link that the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom tweeted out, because here's the thing about the courts in Canada. They're open to the public. Because it's important for the public to see the administration of justice take place, for us to maintain confidence in the system. So you can tune in via WebEx, and the Justice Center has tweeted that out. It's not likely that we'll be able to live stream it. We're trying. We're doing our best. We're going to make arguments, hopefully, that to see if we can. But and if we do, it'll be back here on the YouTube page. So maybe just make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss when we do go live, if we do go live. So that's the best way. But we're trying, because we think it's of vital importance that the world knows what is happening to Pastor Coates.
And you know, Sheila, just a note on that. I'd love to see courtroom reform so that, like United States jurisdictions, you can have cameras in the courtroom. I really think that's needed. And I don't buy this argument, oh, well, if there's cameras there, that intimidates people on the stand. No, come on. You're in front of a live audience as it is. It's already intimidating enough. As the trial goes on, those cameras just blend into the wallpaper. There's no intimidation here. Instead, what we see in Canada increasingly, Sheila, is publication bans being given for the most outrageous reasons or no reason, you know, and it used to be quite rare to have a publication ban. Now they're being handed out like candy at Halloween. And so we're going the opposite way when it comes to the disclosure file. Anyways, I just wanted to get that off my chest.
I think, too, there's plenty of ways that we can protect the identities of certain people in the courtroom while still making sure that everybody sees what is going on in a courtroom.
Correct.
Jana O'Connell gives us $5, says, love you, Sheila. Oh, that's kind. The press are standing in the ditch wearing masks because they do. Yeah. Thanks for reporting fairly on Pastor Coates. Jay, Oregon, U.S. There's a lot of international interest in this case. And I say it constantly, but I always want to drive the point home. I appreciate the trust that the congregation has in me to allow me into the church, because it's their church. This is not a public space. I'm not a member of their congregation. They don't have to let me in, but they do, because I follow the rules of engagement. I try not to bother anybody. I don't try to interview anybody that doesn't want to talk to me, because it's their church. I don't want to change or make their worship awkward. It should be normal, and it is normal in there, and that's why I like going. It's so normal in there. You walk in and you're like, oh yeah, this is what the before times were like. It's great.
Sorry, Sheila, I was a little distracted. I noticed how Janet started her super chat. I love you, Sheila. what am I, the redheaded stepchild? I mean, maybe Lisa Proust has to put out an email to boost my sagging confidence here.
Don't worry, Annalisa S. will be around.
Yes, of course. And
Don't worry.
Annalisa, S. That's right.
Mike Mayer, that's Mike from People versus Predators. Interesting that we are talking about these sorts of stuff. Gives us $5 and says, keep fighting for our freedoms, rebels. People
Thank you,
versus
Mike.
Predators. Yeah. Mike, thanks for fighting to keep our communities safe and keeping alleged sex offenders in jail. And Elisa asks, oh, there she is. $13.99. Hello, Menzies. Hello, Sheila. Looking mighty fine today, my sweet caterpillar. LOL. That's Dave's eyebrows.
At Sheila's urging, I went back to the archives and watched the super chat she did with High Energy Andrew Says, and I never thought my eyebrows being described as caterpillars would be a positive attribute, but I thank you. I'll take compliments wherever they come from, Annalisa.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too at this point in my life. My fourth decade, I'll take whatever you got to say. That's nice. I'm enjoying it. Pamela Pelosi gives us $5. Hi, Sheila and David. Freedom Fries shirt came in. Love it. Thank you, Rebels. Oh, that's wonderful. I still don't have a hoodie, and I'm just going to have to pull the trigger and buy one for myself.
Yes.
Let's keep going. Madam Dreamweaver gives us $5, and she sends us a link that says, on this day, the Supreme Court rules on vaccines and public health, the National Constitution Center. Interesting. I'll click on the link after we're done. NR gives us $1.41. No super chat. Nancy Williams, $5. Who is Hinshaw's boss? Dr. Tam. If the boss is Dr. Tam, who is her boss? The World Health Organization and the Communist Party of China. Hinshaw's boss is Jason Kenney, and I am Jason Kenney's boss.
Yeah, that's right. They work for us, allegedly.
Mm-hmm. The problem is, I can hold Jason Kenney to account. We all can at the next election. But how do we hold this unelected bureaucrat to account who's literally controlling every aspect of our lives these days, including who we can have in our home and how we practice our faith?
And Sheila, wasn't Premier Kenney once upon a time in federal politics all about religious freedom? Or did that just mean for countries other than Canada?
Yeah, when the Chinese communists were trying to control what happens in the Christian churches in China, he was pretty outraged when they're cracking down on churches in Afghanistan and some of the less liberal places of the Middle East, which is a lot. I mean, Jason Kenney was the first guy banging on the desk, chanting about religious freedom, and good, he should. But how about a little bit of introspection? Those rights that you wanted protected for religious people in the other parts of the world must be protected in Alberta these days.
Yeah.
David Smith. Oh, sorry, I skipped a bunch. Sorry. Chris Lynch gives us $5. Yet Kenney hasn't done a thing about it. Yeah. I was part of a Western Independence Party Zoom call, and they said they were on track and predicting 500,000 votes in 2023. I don't know how they could predict that, but I do know that Kenney is bleeding support to the independence-minded parties. He's bleeding support to the right, not really back to the left.
Are the psychics back in operation in Alberta? Or is there maybe a lack of social distancing etiquette? When you go into those, typically in Toronto, they're above a variety store in a strip mall, and I always find it offensive if they don't have the crystal ball, because I want all that hocus pocus. But I mean, when you think of it, Sheila, palm reading, that's actual body contact. Doesn't that really put them out of business during the coronavirus?
I steer clear of the new age. That's how you suddenly end up practicing yoga and being a vegan. So I just stay right away from it. Don't send me any letters, New Agers. I just do what you want. Madam Dreamweaver sends us $5 and says Christian. It's another link. Christian from the Christian Post says the court rules against New York COVID limits religious gatherings. Might help tomorrow. These court rulings, though, from other countries don't really apply to here because we have a very much different charter than the United States Constitution. David Smith gives us $10. Watch you from Arizona all the time. Are you a Canadian in Arizona, like a Western Canadian in Arizona? I know, like, the people from East, they sort of retire to Florida. Out here, we retire to Arizona and Mexico. So if you are a Canadian, I'd be curious. Amazing how you can see the dark exposed through your light. The cops are so indoctrinated and manipulated to be puppets by their own government. Love Rebel News. I'm not anti-cop, although it's getting harder and harder to be pro-cop these days.
Kidding.
But I guess I have a different experience than David in Toronto because I'm dealing a lot of times with small town RCMP, and they really don't want to be the enforcement arm of Alberta Health Services. They're so hands off. I mean, that's why Pastor Coates turned himself in on Tuesday, as opposed to being arrested in his church after he got off the pulpit on Sunday. It was because the cops didn't want to do it. Go ahead. No.
Oh, sorry, Sheila. It was interesting. After the Adam Skelly press conference last month, I was approached by a Rebel News fan, a lovely lady. Won't give her name, of course, but she said that her husband is a police officer. Huge Rebel News fan as well. I better not even give the division. Anyways, the bottom line was this. She said half the officers at this division in Toronto, they are disgusted with the orders they're being told to carry out. But the other half, in her own words, totally brainwashed. This is all about public safety. This is all about ending this debilitating virus that ranks right up there with Ebola. And that's the dichotomy. I've extended the invitation for this police officer to come on. We will, of course, disguise his image and distort his voice, Sheila, because I would love to interview that man. But that in that one particular Toronto division, it's a 50-50 split of those who are team lockdown and team anti-lockdown.
Yeah, I think it's like half of them are disgusted and the other half are quota hires. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People with the reduced physical requirements and they check the right boxes. So they got hired, and the other half earned their way onto the force and work hard because they care about protecting freedoms of normal people, and that they're willing to put on a uniform, put on a gun, and put their life on the line every day to do just that. And the rest are just scratching an authoritarian itch.
And Sheila, would you agree with my observation that typically it is the quota hires that reach for their tasers the quickest, especially when there's something really dangerous like a hockey player on a frozen patch of ice in Alberta, right?
Yeah, when you're not confident in your physical ability to do something because you have not been made to meet the actual physical requirements to be in the job that you're in, you are pretty itchy with your trigger finger. Let's keep going. Lisa Bruce gives us an explanation here. She says, for $5, she says, David, I have a YouTube channel talked about injection components and other items against the official narrative. My videos were pulled down via strikes. That's why we have that censorship warning, Yeah. Consider that. Kane and Mark, $5. Good morning. Are there any churches open in Calgary? Shout out to Justin. Yes, it is the Fairview Baptist. Oh, sorry, Justin. I talked over your guitar riff. Sorry. I know. Sorry, I'm the worst. The Fairview Baptist Church in Calgary is open, and we've had a journalist in there for the last 2 weeks, and I think this will be the third week that we have somebody there. So,
Justin is smiling, by the way. Thank you so much for giving that shout out, my friend, because it's kind of like when my dog's barking and I take out a liver treat and it sits down and already raises its paw. He's very conditioned. Thank you.
So rude. Okay. No wonder it's just Justin yelling at you before you get on camera for the first 5 minutes before we go live. John Yoga gives us $5. Hey, guys. Formerly known as Yorgi. Anywho, Sheila, did you follow up on John Tory research project? No, but it's on my list of things to do still. I've been pretty busy on the religious freedom beat. Ken Tate gives us $10. True North just reported serial sex offender released from Edmonton jail. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know why that's news. They just, if you follow People versus Predators on Facebook, you will see the amount of recidivist child sex offenders that are getting bail constantly and then breaching bail conditions, going back into jail within 18 hours, more bail, out the door, out the door, out the door, over and over and over again. And they are charged with more sex offenses while they're out on bail. And they're out, and this pastor isn't, because the pastor refuses to lie to a judge's face. Jana O'Connell? Or Yana? Jana. Let's say Jana. $5. Lemon character taking off his sunglasses and raising his arms to greet someone, imitated by a baby lemon. Okay. Believe in Jesus gives us $10. The city and county of Camrose currently have 0 cases. Yeah. And yet businesses are beefing up masking mandates due to snitching to head offices. Doctors and pharmacists agree this is political. Yeah, it definitely is. Lisa Proust, $5. David, you are the most courageous, amazing, inspiring soul ever.
Wow,
Lisa.
ever. Thank you so much, Lisa.
David, you're in the bloodstream. Thank you for all you do. Eternal admiration for your work.
Thank you so much.
A Joyful Heart, $5. Randy Hillier's No More Lockdown group is asking everyone to email their MP and MPP asking to share why they want the lockdown to end. Yeah. You gotta just ring the phones off the hook in your MP and MLA offices, MPP offices. Ken Tate gives us $2. By the way, Menzoid rules. There's a lot of Menzoid love on the stream today.
I need it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
I know. Jana O'Connell gives us another $5. Says, David, love you too. What is going on?
I'm digging it. It's like Valentine's Day in March.
Yeah, I'm new and I'm learning your names. You rock. It's like there's some sort of YouTube pheromone being emitted into the chat. Weird.
Or it's a big setup, Sheila.
I think so. Yeah. You're all related to David. That's Lady Menzies just racking up the credit card to make it seem like her husband's got much love here. Mr. Hammerdance, $5.56. Good to see you too. How about C21? Barf. Firearms rights are human rights. Yes, that's a CCFR slogan. Menzoid, keep up the fight against the China hotel gang. Gunner, you rock. Okay. Yeah. Well, you threw that in at the end there, just, I think, for pity. But that's okay. I'm not mad about it. Olga Jetty gives us $5. Emails released. Fauci deputy asked to sign confidentiality form tailored to China's terms. Sound familiar? Wonder who else globally. I've seen access to information, paperwork, where they are actively trying to not annoy China. And I'm talking about Justin Trudeau's Liberals, where they are changing language that they're using, worrying about tweets that they're sending, because they really don't want China to get mad at them. For some reason, even though China has released this virus that has allowed politicians to shut down our entire economies. Yeah. Rainmaker, $5. Thank you, Rebel crew. As a legal immigrant, we swear an oath to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Release Pastor Coates. Mikey 49898 gives us $5. Have you heard of the leaked document from the Alberta government that says law enforcement can't ticket anyone for COVID restrictions? Okay, that is not a leaked document. It's not leaked at all. It's posted publicly on the government website. What it says is that some peace officers, so certain levels of peace officers, do not have the ability to issue those tickets anymore. But that doesn't mean that they can't call local police, RCMP, if they see an infraction occurring and have them issue the ticket. So don't think that this means that the pandemic tickets are not being enforced. It's just changing in some places, in some instances, who is issuing the ticket. That's it. Annalisa S. 2099. Menzies, the day you stole my heart is when you wore that one-piece bathing suit.
Oh, no. Now, folks, just a little context here. This was a pool, City of Toronto pool, and it has segregated swimming for females only to accommodate Muslim women that don't want to be with men. And I decided to put the policy to the test. would that reasonable accommodation apply to a trans woman, me pretending to be a trans woman? And it was an interesting social experiment. But believe me, inside, I was dying.
You look like Dusty Rhodes.
But you know what? That's kind of making me nervous that is the image that Annalisa, her heart was stolen by. Yikes.
Everybody's got their type. I know I have a particular type. Everybody's got their type. You are her type. There's a type for everybody. There's somebody for everybody, David. That's the moral of the story here. Even guys in clown wigs who look like Dusty Rhodes. There's some women out there just dig that. Should we get to, by the way, your Montreal, or sorry, which was it?
You know what? Why don't we go to, it's basically two videos, two for the price of one here, Sheila. It's the police protest. And then a couple of days ago, Mocha and I went to Midtown Toronto to cover a movie that was being shot, an MGM movie. If you can believe it, they were so secretive about it, they wouldn't even give us the title. But in a way, they're related, folks, because at the protesters in Toronto, if you wave a flag, you will get arrested. If you brandish a sign denouncing communism, you will get arrested. If you are just standing on a street corner or quoting biblical verses, you will get arrested. This is what the Toronto police have been ordered to go after. These are the so-called ringleaders, or those who are the flamboyant protesters. Meanwhile, there was a police presence at the film set. Oh, talk about a tale of two cities, Sheila. The police weren't there to arrest anybody, even though there was a large congregation, maybe even more than the protesters. They were there to protect the film set. So maybe we can run a little bit of the police protest, and then we'll contrast it with what happens in Toronto when John Tory is catering to the beautiful people of Hollywood. Total different set of rules in that regard.
Yes.
Can you tell me what the conditions were like in there?
So the rooms are nice, but you can't get help for anything. So I have anxiety disorder. It took 2 days to get me medication. I'm vegetarian. They continue bringing me meat every day.
Wait a minute. So you have dietary restrictions and you needed medication and they ignored those requests?
They would constantly say, yes, I'll help you, but no one would help me. Like 6 hours later, I'll call again. And the person told me on the phone literally that it would take 24 hours. I recorded all the conversations. It was horrible. Finally, once I got my negative COVID test to try to leave, they said they're going to make me stay again for another 24 hours.
Why?
Because there's process to letting you leave. And I said, I don't understand. Like, you can't keep me here. I don't have anything to eat here. You're constantly bringing me meat when I'm telling you guys I don't eat this. I was hysterical, crying. They told me if I do try to leave that they're going to detain me and arrest me. So honestly, it was scary.
You can't even order your own food via DoorDash or Uber. Why not?
I don't know. And so I said that to the guy. I said, if you're not providing me with something, then I should be able to provide myself with it. And the man on the phone from the Red Cross literally laughed and said, no, you can't order anything and you can't leave.
Wait a minute. Somebody from the Red Cross was laughing at you?
Absolutely. And I have it all recorded.
I'd love to get those recordings. I thought the Red Cross were the compassionate people.
No, there was nobody helping me.
What's your name? Unbelievable.
Andrea?
Andrea? Someone will give you a lift.
I have an Uber here. I'm trying to just get to my car at Park and Fly. And the funny thing is I have 2 negative COVID tests. I have my car at Park and Fly. I have my house that's empty for me to quarantine in. There's no reason that they're holding me here. Well, today, whenever they said they wouldn't let me leave, I contacted a lawyer and I contacted CTV News already. I didn't know what to do. Like, nobody is helping me.
Well, Andrea, this is egregious, and you haven't been given a fine or anything, have you?
No, because I followed their rules and I didn't leave.
Are you technically finished?
No, I had to finish the next 14 days in my home.
What?
Okay. No, they let me finally leave because I called Public Health Canada, I called Public Health Toronto, I called a lawyer. Finally, someone contacted me and said that they're going to let me leave, but they wanted me to stay again tonight. I have the emails that say, it doesn't matter if you have your test, this is going to take another 12 hours, so you're going to stay. And I said, no, like, this is ridiculous. I can't even get food here. It took me literally 7 phone calls and 8 hours to get some granola bars sent to my room.
Unbelievable. why is there, if this hotel is under construction, why are there no building permits?
You're not allowed to break quarantine, please.
No, I'm in
Facility.
officer, wait a second. This hotel, hey, this hotel is under construction. So where are the building permits? Where are the building permits? Officer, where is the building permit if this hotel is under construction? By law, they have to have that in display.
You know what? None of you are scary.
Are you guys aware of what that woman just went through? Hey?
What if your police officer assaulted one of us? You know, get that on.
Officer, we've been told by Jamie, the security manager, this hotel is under construction. So why are there no building permits by law on display? Can you tell me that? Officers, where are the building permits?
Security guards.
We've been told by Jamie. Yeah, so Sheila, it's very selective in terms of the laws that are being enforced. Secondly, if our viewers tune into the video and watch it in its entirety, many of those people were given those $880 tickets on the false presumption, because I heard a cop say this to one of them, that street we are on is the part of the driveway of the Radisson Hotel. But I can't remember the name of the street, but there is a street sign that leads off of Dixon Road. In fact, I asked, where is the property line? Of course, they didn't know that answer either.
Yep.
So that is, I want you to quickly weigh in on your take on what you saw. And then we're going to contrast it with how the police react when there's a big budget Hollywood movie being filmed in Toronto.
Again, very different experience than what has been happening out here in Alberta. When I went to Keane's COVID hotel to hold up a sign, interview him through the window, and show a little moral support, the security came, and maybe it's because I'm a girl and I'm kind of charming, and I did turn on the charm. When he came to the window of my Jeep, I realized that I put on a really fake smile. I could see it in the little video I took of myself. And I was like, whoa, Sheila, that's insincere. But anyway, he came to the window and he's like, oh, I saw you taking some pictures. I just want to make sure that you're doing okay. And I explained, like, my friend is, and I called him an internee. Like he's in an internment camp. But I described him as captive. But I said, my friend is here, and, I'm just talking to him. And he said, oh, okay, would you like me to give him a message? Like, the security experience, what I'm getting in friendly Alberta versus, like, the nightmare that is Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're living in two different countries. I had a security guard wanting to check to see if I was okay and help me communicate with Keane, and you're getting, like, the bums rush off the property there.
Absolutely. And it's not just by security. It is by armed members of law enforcement perpetrating a lie about being able to protest in public, and even that a public street is somehow private property belonging to the hotel. Absolute disgrace. So without further ado, as they say in Hollywood, lights, camera, action, check out how things are suddenly different in Toronto when it comes to making a big production movie or TV series in Hogtown.
Everybody's in it together. That's it.
Oh, do you really believe that? Because, well, the restaurants and the gyms and the stores, they can't open, but you guys can continue filming, so I don't think everyone's in it together.
Toronto. Well, maybe do your research and learn.
I'm kind of curious. We've been covering the anti-lockdown protests every Saturday, officer, and people are being hauled away in paddy wagons, and yet we see the same lack of social distancing happening here, and the police aren't ticketing these people. Instead, you're protecting them. Why the double standard?
Well, we have a business here. We have an industry. It employs thousands of people. We make a lot of money every year in the film industry. It's a huge business.
I totally agree, and I don't want you shut down.
Money talks. What can I say?
Oh, so that's what it's money talks and walks, I guess.
Sure.
By the way, I don't begrudge the film industry. We have great talent in this city. I want to see everything opening. The restaurants, the gyms, the coffee shops, the boutiques.
I'd appreciate it if you put on a mask first if you're going to stand this close to me.
Oh, really?
Take a step back.
Oh, okay then. Are you really that afraid?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm concerned.
How do you like that, Sheila? You know,
Wow.
There's so many angles here. First of all, my goodness, that driver that said money talks, BS walks. Clearly, that is the case in Ontario, because I can tell you, Alicia Herder of Chrome Artistic Barbering, that within the law, reimagined her barbershop as a film production studio and was doing auditions instead of haircuts. She was brutally and violently shut down. She's still out of business now because of the city and the region, even though the city gave its blessing to her when she phoned them ahead of time of going down this route. So, yeah, little Alicia Herder doing, tiny bits of business here, or the egregious crime of trying to stay alive, make a little do-re-mi and employ her staff. Yeah, we're going to shut her down. But in John Tory's Toronto, is that Brad Pitt on the... Oh, yeah, no, the rules don't apply to him. Come on down. That's big money. Hogtown loves the idea of being Hollywood North. So, yeah, we'll turn a blind eye to that. And like I said, Sheila, I'm not begrudging films being shot in Toronto. I want everything open. And then finally, that cop, here's a police officer wearing a bulletproof vest, as well he should. There are some really bad hombres out there, and we know gun crime under the watch of John Tory, it has tripled during his tenure. He's actually being conditioned that in an outdoor setting with him wearing a mask and me without it, I'm some sort of modern day typhoid Mary. Can you believe this?
Maybe your hair startled him though. Like maybe that was just...
like the CBC reporter.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so ridiculous because it's not even about the film industry. It is about like big budget productions versus small scale productions, and the big budget productions with the big Hollywood stars and the deep pockets, they're getting the exemptions, but people like Alicia or Danny Duggan in Manitoba, they're getting shut down and getting tickets.
That was the wrestler.
Pleasure.
That was
the
your
wrestler.
That's right. Yes.
And they're getting tickets for just trying to do a film production. But it's just about business. Yep. Why do these guys get an exemption to do their business when entire sectors of the entire economy are shut down? Like, don't tell me they don't have a catering crew there.
Oh, they
serving
do.
up food. But Adams Kelly can't be open?
Nope.
How does that even work?
Nope.
But that's the real problem here. It's not just about like big productions, small productions. It's about why does this business get to do business? Just like Walmart, MGM can work, but the hairdressers can't. The restaurants can't. The churches can't be open. Kids can't participate in sports. You can't go swimming. None of it. But just these like people that, they're industries that showcase Toronto to the world, but no one's going to want to come to Toronto if you level all the other industries, no matter how you try to fancy it up.
And Sheila, let's compare apples with apples here. When you see the police presence on Saturdays at Yonge Dundas Square and Queen's Park, and when you see the police presence on Thursdays at 4 o'clock, if anyone's watching in the GTA, that's where I'll be at the Radisson again. They are the ostensible policy reason of why they are there and ticketing people and even handcuffing and arresting people is that you are in a group that exceeds 5. Did that film crew look like a group exceeding 5? But, no. No police arrests there. Those police are on paid duty, making big bucks, making sure the riffraff like us don't ask questions that are too impolite. That is an egregious double standard.
I think Drea perfectly captured this when she was in, she was covering some of the churches that are closed in BC. And she came across a church where they were filming a movie where a scene involved a church service in a church. That's fine. You can pretend to go to church on film, but you can't actually go to church and worship God in BC. I mean, that's how insane it is right now. Now, I know we should get to the super chats.
Yes.
We also have our wrestling picks.
We have to do it. We've been teasing it for 2 weeks.
We have
Yeah,
No one's asked for yet.
Yeah,
So
Mr.
maybe we just
Producer
leave it
said,
to next
shockingly,
Tuesday.
no one's asked for it in the chat. And I got to say this, I know there's a ton of heavy-duty, important things out there, and, you know, there were some professional wrestling haters. We're only going to devote like 3 or 4 minutes of the hour plus to it, folks. So, you know, please, you know, don't be too harsh on Sheila and I. We loved professional wrestling, and we did promise we would make this top 10 tag team list, even though Mr. Producer, again, is saying no one's asking for it. Well, indulge us.
And we shrunk it down to the top 5. And I worked on this after I had been in Calgary working all day. I got home, I worked on Fight the Fines a little bit, and then I was like, oh, I promised that I would do this thing. So I put work into this a little bit, and I gave it some thought. So maybe, David, you go first, because we do have to get to Super Chest, and then I got to skedaddle. I can't go too late today.
Oh, okay then. So I'm giving my list first then, Sheila?
Yes, please.
Okay then. So in reverse order, Money Inc. This was with Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and Erwin R. Shyster, IRS. And it was just... their mic work was brilliant. The fact that IRS wrestled in a business suit with Ty, and the perversity of a multimillionaire getting in cahoots with somebody from the Internal Revenue Service.
It's like the Biden administration.
I know. And you know, Sheila, I once saw IRS at Maple Leaf Gardens in the 80s, and before his match, he got on the mic and he said, "It is a well-known fact that the greatest number of tax cheats in Canada live in Toronto." And this woman beside me, she held up a pack of cigarettes, screaming. There was phlegm coming out of her mouth, saying, "Do you know how much in taxes I pay on?" And I'm thinking, wow, you like you really believe he's with the IRS and he has some. Anyways, Justin's giving me this. I'll go very quickly. The Bushwhackers,
That's my number
just
4. Yeah.
absolutely so comical, and the fact that Cousin Luke holds the Royal Rumble record for least amount of time in the ring, 6 seconds. The Rock and Sock connection, Mankind and The Rock, total polar opposites in terms of physique, personality, and I gotta tell you, that finishing move is so hilarious that they do, and of course, puppets. That's right, puppets. And number 2, and it should be number 1, but number 2 is the Hart Foundation. The way Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret the Hitman Hart complemented each other. Excellent wrestlers, excellent mic work. And hey, it takes a real man to wear flaming pink tights, let me tell you, folks. And my number 1, Sheila, is Rowdy Roddy Piper, Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff versus Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. Piper and Orndorff had Cowboy Bob Orton in their corner, and Mr. T and Hogan had Jimmy the Superfly Snuka in their corner. This goes back to 1985, WrestleMania numero uno. It was a one-time only tag team, so I know the purists are saying, well, yeah, that shouldn't count. But this was the main event that started it all, right? This was the launch of wrestling coming out of dingy basements and into arenas and even stadiums and giant pay-per-views. And the match was so great. You had Liberace ringing the bell, Billy Martin, the New York Yankees general manager, as the ring announcer, Muhammad Ali as the outside referee, and the commentators, Jesse the Body Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon, and so many great one-liners like, "He dropped them like yesterday's newspaper." And it was so exciting, that match, because I've never in the history of wrestling seen a match hyped like that. And it had to be hyped. Vince McMahon was betting everything on this pay-per-view, and it was by no means a slam dunk. It was going to turn money. In fact, once the numbers started coming in, it sure as heck did. So those are my 5 choices, She-Devil. What are yours?
You just kept talking because you don't want to give me a chance to argue my 5. But anyways, my 5 are selected, as I said in my email, for a whole host of reasons. Some of them are just a personal taste thing, as you'll see with, I think, my number 2. One is a special salute to Justin, and the others are just for nostalgia. So number 5, the Rockers. This is my salute to Justin because I know that Justin loves Shawn Michaels, and This is the douchiest version of Shawn Michaels that I could possibly think of. Every iteration of Shawn Michaels, this is the douchiest. It's even more so than the assless chaps wearing air guitar, nipple rubbing, sexy boy singing version of Shawn Michaels. This is the worst. And Marty Jannetty, the other member of the Rockers, he's going through some things lately. He admitted that he may or may not have killed somebody. So he's going through something. So I just want to show a little bit of moral support. My number 4 is the same as your number 4. That 6-second 1991 Royal Rumble elimination. Because I think it's the attitude that we should all aspire to, especially as journalists. And it is the story of how you report on COVID hotels. You just get tossed out, you happily march off, and you live to fight another day. It's you at the COVID hotels. It's just like in, out, see you tomorrow, jerks. That's how it is. My number 3 is Hot Rod with Ric Flair. Former enemies, now friends. And Roddy Piper's final championship in the WWE was won with Flair. And they won it from the Spirit Squad, which I think is particularly relevant these days because that was an all-male cheerleading squad. And as we know, we're eliminating female cheerleaders from, I guess, the violent male gaze of football fans, as it would be. So anyways, that was why I had them at number 3. Number 2, the Briscoe Brothers. Now they're not WWE, and they're a very new discovery to me, and I'm ashamed of that. But Jay and Mark, the 2 brothers, they're gun shooting, beer drinking, lawn tractor driving, compound bow hunting, actual chicken farmers. And they cut promos doing that, which leads me to believe that every Saturday of my life during the summer could possibly be a wrestling promo because this is like how I live. Anyways, they wrestle in a smaller wrestling promotion called Ring of Honor, and they hold 11 tag team championships. Anyways, if you guys at home just YouTube search them, you'll understand why I love them so much. They're perfect for me.
They're rural.
Yes, they are. They're like hillbilly wrestlers, and not fake hillbilly wrestlers like Hillbilly Jim, but legitimate chicken farm. Not the horrible quota kind that we have here in Canada. And number 1, of course, Heart Foundation, because in my email, I actually offer no reasoning because there's none necessary, because they're the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And that's it.
And that is the best signature line ever. And by the way, folks, I apologize. The production of this top 10 list would have been greatly enhanced if we were putting up photographs or little video snippets of the wrestlers. I suggested that to Justin.
Justin's got a real job. He doesn't have to indulge us.
No, I think Justin was busy on DoorDash or something. So sorry about that. When we do another top 10 list, we'll try to improve that element. Okay. So, Sheila, what? I guess we've only got a few minutes left. Super chats.
Yeah. Super chats, I'll breeze through them, and then maybe we can go out on Yankees video from Montreal.
Okay, then. Is Yankees still on the market, by the way, Sheila?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still, ladies, I'm still taking submissions. Please send it to Sheila@rebelnews.com. Attach a headshot if you want me to take your application seriously. But I don't judge on that. I just want to know that you're an actual real person. But
Sheila in the role of Cupid. How great is that?
I don't even trust myself here. Okay, let's keep going. Matt B300. Good afternoon, Menzies, Sheila, and Justin. David Bird, $20. Government leaders who want to close and remove churches, God's elect, need to know God will do it for free. Watch, therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. Matthew 40:42. John Bryan gives us $5. Have you heard of any COVID hotels here in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick? I think I have some sitting in my email. We just don't have a journalist out there. But yeah, we really should do our best to cover some of those in the eastern part of the country. We get a lot of people who want us to cover things out there, and we just don't have the lifting power right now. Zan Axe or Zan AX, $10. Sometimes I forget I work with left-wing Muppets till they open their mouths. Albertans don't need Fed support till Alberta implement a sales tax, payroll tax, diversify and stop being oil apes, in their words. Yeah. Chris Rock, $20. You realize we can't fight without support of the majority of people. Majority follow out of fear. Some from the virus, some from enforcement. Unmask, reduce the fears first, and majority will follow and speak up. Yeah, it's very liberating just to take that mask off and decide, not today, Satan. I'm just going to be me. It's kind of fun. Kane Enmark, $2. Will Ezra's human rights website be up this week? I believe so. They're working on that. I'm CC'd on some discussions about that. So we're working very hard to get our human rights complaint website up. Benjamin Van Drunen, $5. I'm curious if the Radisson obtained a building permit to erect the tarp structures. If they are bigger than 10 meters square, they should require one. They're bending a lot of rules, though, to go full tilt on this COVID stuff. So maybe they waived the permit requirements.
Oh, Sheila, on that note, I did put in a call to the building permit division of the City of Toronto, and I spoke to a friendly man there. And this was almost 2 weeks ago. It's amazing how the speed at which City Hall works. But he said he is going to have an inspector go to that property. So let's stay tuned. I spoke to him just 2 days ago, and nobody had gone there yet. But I'm going to keep on this because the rules should apply to all, right?
Yep. Mama Savage gives us $5. Everyone loves Menzies because people love the truth. Rebel News is where the real news is.
Oh, thank you.
Lady Menzies and all of her pseudonyms and nom de plume, as they call them. Zan AX gives us $5 and says, Sheila, what do you think? Okay, this is interesting because I just discovered this guy over the weekend, and actually I discovered it through someone at Grace Life Church, the videographer there, Jimmy. If you're watching, Jimmy, hi. Sheila, what do you think about Tom McDonald, the Albertan Canadian rapper singer? I think he's from Edmonton and former professional wrestler. Yeah, he's got sort of these like right-wingy rap songs about getting canceled and Clown World, and
yes,
he's getting a ton of views, and I think he might even still be in Edmonton. I haven't gone that far down the rabbit hole, but I subscribed to his YouTube channel after Jimmy told me because I'm a little bit old and it's not exactly my musical taste, so it wasn't being pushed my direction in the YouTube algorithm, but I'm glad that Jimmy suggested him because kind of like what I see.
You should interview him, Sheila. I think he's a fascinating cat.
Yeah, I didn't even know he existed because, like my YouTube music is all like Waylon Jennings and just like old lady stuff and Dolly Parton. So it would not have been something that came my way organically. Zabraris 181818 he gives us $2 and says he just wasn't that into you, Menzoid. I don't know. There's a lot of people into David Menzies today. Something in the water. Chris, or there should be something in the water. Maybe we need to medicate the water in Toronto. Chris Rock, $10. Tickets are unconstitutional. Don't be afraid of paper. Take your tickets and live free. They can't manage all of us. Fear not. It is in the Bible over 365 times. That is not a coincidence. You know what? Take those tickets. I don't want you to pay them. I want you to fight them. Send them to us at rebelnews.com. And if we can, we'll put you in touch with a top criminal lawyer, or as I think Chad Williamson likes to be called, a litigation specialist, and boy, is he ever, who will help you fight your tickets in court. We'll do our best to help you. Then AX, $5. Sheila, be nice to David. His pot of gold ran out years ago. Dirty Pretty Me gives us $20. It is not nonviolent prisoners being released. It is anyone with a medical history. That too. Asthma, bronchitis, etc. Correction staff fear for themselves and family. Lawyers lined up in Milton to release them. I believe that. I 100% believe that. Yeah. Northern Tiger gives us $2. Justin. There you go. David and Sheila, good job. Ooh, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hammerdan. $2. No Road Warriors. I'm disappointed. I know. But if I had 10, I would have done Road Warriors. Demolition would have been in there. But I only had 5.
And by the way, I forgot to say the proviso to our list, folks. It's not necessarily the strongest tag teams. It's not the most tag team belts won. All that statistical stuff. It was just those tag teams that entertained us the most, basically.
Yeah, and you know what? On any given week, I think my list might be different depending on where I'm at that week. Like I said, they weren't chosen for any particular reason. Yankee Pollock, Yankee, don't pay us money to talk to us. We're your friends and colleagues. $2 per character turning around, waving his hand, saying, "Hey, you," while lowering his glasses. Nathaniel gives us $10. How about Texas removing mask restrictions and opening up small businesses again? Only if Trudeau would stop being so scared and get real. And it's not even Trudeau. It's your provincial politicians, in my instance, one that happens to be conservative. And David, you've got one that claims to be conservative.
Yeah.
They're the guys in charge here.
It's unbelievable. And we also have a mayor that claims to be conservative. Can you imagine?
Sure. I mean, who's buying that? Anyway, Mark Bozick gives us $20. Thanks very much. It's very generous. Thanks for all you do. I love watching you in Phoenix and interview a lot of the individuals that you interview on my Mark 2.0 podcast, which is on BitChute, Spotify, and all podcasting platforms. You are the best. Mark, wise spend of the marketing dollars there. Very smart. Good for you. And Jeremy Glenn, #1 tag team Iron Sheik, and Nikolai Volkov. I ran #1 USSR, #1 USA.
If it was a top 6 list, they were there because the Iron Sheik, when I would see him at Maple Leaf Gardens, Iran #1, Iraq #1, which, by the way, at the time, were in a war against each other.
I know.
Canada, USA, and people losing their minds. It was the most incredible ring announcement beginning. You could see the way he could work that building. Right?
Might I suggest some Mean Gene Okerlund outtakes with the Iron Sheik? Because you can tell Mean Gene knows. He'll look at the camera and he's like, "This promo is about to go super sideways." And then it just veers off into trouble and anti-Semitism, and you can tell Gene's like.
And homophobia.
Oh, I know. It's not good. Anyway, I think we're all caught up.
Okay.
And because Yankee did some reporting at a COVID hotel in Montreal, and I've got to get out the door because I got to get, the protest starts in an hour and I'm more than an hour away. So I got to go. But Yankee did some reporting from a COVID hotel in Montreal, and I think he did a really great job because it's tough being on camera, and you know what? I think he did great. So let's play it.
I'm here in Montreal in front of a COVID quarantine facility. I was just on the phone with 2 girls that are held in this COVID facility. As I was on the phone with them, they were actually called by the quarantine officer and said that they could be released. Here's the interview with them and the phone call with the quarantine officer.
Hello?
With Miss Green or Miss Ross?
Yep, both of us here right now, present.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm the quarantine officer. I'm calling you because I received your test results.
Yep.
I need to know if...
What do you mean another place for quarantine? We have a flight.
Yes, so you want to quarantine, I guess, at home?
Yeah, we're flying home to go home and go to our houses and be safe.
Okay, so to go home, I need to know I have a few questions then. To make sure it's a suitable place for isolating yourself. So making sure there is no vulnerable person at home. Is there anybody over 65 having chronic disease or immune system deficiency?
I live in a completely separate area than my family. I live in a house that's over 5,000 square feet.
Once you're ready to leave, you have to call the volunteers, so they'll come and knock on your door to give you the letter and escort you to the exit.
And then I can call my own taxi or my own Uber or something like that?
You have to go through them because the security guard will allow them to go through.
Okay, but I can let them know.
That you give them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Staying in the hotel was actually petrifying.
Yes.
As soon as we got there, within a few hours, 2 men tried breaking into our rooms, and the hotel quarantine people tried blaming us for not locking our doors.
What? Okay, look at this. We ask you to not activate the manual lock located on your bedroom door frame. What are you asking me to do right now?
Yet we have pieces of paper telling us that we were legally not allowed to lock our doors. So, and you can see the sweat on my face from being so hot in the hotel. We were sweating in there, couldn't breathe. We had to break open the window and remove screws just so that we could open the window to get fresh air.
There's no surveillance cameras.
No surveillance cameras to watch who's there. The security guards aren't much of security guards. They are normal men dressed in normal day clothes with chains on, hats on, looking like someone you'd see in the mall. So I don't consider that much of a security guard. And there's other people walking freely around the hotel that aren't there quarantined. How is that safe when we have unlocked doors?
Half of the guests don't even know that there's a quarantine going on in there.
Yeah.
Or the front desk, they don't know any of that. We were put in the back of a hotel, which is essentially not used anymore. It was insanity.
Horrible. And to ask for food or ask to go outside for fresh air or even a cigarette would take hours to do so. They also gave me vegan food that wasn't vegan. So I couldn't eat for almost 17 hours yesterday because everything they kept me eat, I couldn't eat.
Yes, so if you have food allergies, anything, please be aware that they are not feeding, or they're not,
special.
They're not catering to special needs, special diets.
Yeah.
And are you glad to be heading home now?
Oh
yes! We're coming home, Toronto! We're free!
Oh my God.
Wow, isn't that incredible, folks? That line that stated we're legally not allowed to lock the doors. Well, of course. I mean, we don't want to make it hard for those alleged sex offenders out there that have been hired as some of the security guards for these hotels. I'm finding it, quite frankly, hard to believe this is happening in Canada in 2021. In any event, Ezra ends his shows with a funny doggy video. We ended our show with a serious Yankee video. Sheila and I will see you again on Tuesday, on Friday, tomorrow. Ezra, the big boss man, he takes the reins as per usual. In the meantime, stay sane.